Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch above the Ridgecrest Mountains, beyond the brittle sage and rattling juniper, lies the remote expanse known as Blind Frog Ranch, a sad misnomer, for nothing there is blind. Instead, the place seems to watch. Every corner of that plateau hums with a curious stillness, and corners of that stillness speak. They say no one ever talks once they cross the threshold of the ranch. You don't need words when silence amplifies sounds you thought you knew. If something more than living is listening, you don't coax it with chatter. You watch, you wait, you feel. I arrived under a sliver-thin moon, the kind that slips beneath your boots like a secret. My arrival cut through the hush with crunching gravel, but the ranch answered with a syllable, the faintest metallic creak that seemed to breathe from the old oil derelict rigs scattered across the scrub. No speech, no introduction, just the soft, shared acknowledgement of our presence. They told me, don't speak, don't even whisper. Let your eyes and skin and bones fill in the gaps. So I carried no recorder, no notebook, just my senses, raw and unfiltered on. Time's pocketty pressed my palm to a rust-marred beam of an abandoned pump jack. It was colder than the wind predicted. My breath, visible in that chill, didn't escape. It collapsed midair, suspended like the breath of something unseen. Time stumbled there, blurring the seconds. I nearly stumbled too when the beam's metal groaned under a phantom weight. No breeze had stirred, yet the beam curved toward me, as if to offer its weight like a confidant. My heart picked up, the silence acknowledged only if I slowed to listen. The beam sighed with memory. Decades of oil dreams, failed drills, hopes that dried like dust. Then the beam retracted, rigid again, and the breath in the air resumed too. The sound of watching I ventured past the ruins, under the fractured echo of an imposter wind. Without warning, sand rattled in a jar on a warped windowsill. It wasn't a breeze. I looked. No breeze, no vibration. Just a whisper of grains inside glass, clattering soft as a heartbeat. Motionless, I leaned in. Then the jar tipped slightly, too deliberate to be gravity, and grains trickled, spelling a shape on the dusty pane. A frog. Blind? Not here. The frog was there in outline alone, textured in sand, watching through still glass as though to say, "You're not blind to me." Then the sand fell, the jar straightened. Silence and emptiness reclaimed the room 3. Echo of the unseeny moved to dig through dry soil toward the base of an old derrick. The ground felt pulsing, like a heartbeat forced into terra firma. My fingers brushed a flat stone buried just beneath the surface, warm despite the cold night air. I lifted it, expecting nothing, only to find fine skeletal markings. Footprints, too small to be human, too precise for any known creature, striding across the stone like they were etched in real time, still stepping. A micro trail, frozen yet vibrating with presence. I placed the stone down, breath shallow, and the ground pulsed slower until still. I retreated into the broader quiet, the ranch's silence far. A shape in the static further out, on a slope where every blade of sage pointed skyward, I came across a rusted radio rig, lost tuned to nothing, cracked glass, silent speaker. I pressed the button on a rusted, jagged switch. No hiss, no static, just pure waiting. Then, faintly, something pressed through that silence. A syllable, maybe 2, maybe 3, indistinct. It wasn't words. It was an invitation. I leaned closer, half expecting the voice to come through. Instead, the speaker plate vibrated, then cracked outward like a mouth-shattering silent speech. Nothing voiced, but inside, for a hot beat, I felt multitudinous presence, voices halfway. Neither here nor gone, hovering. I looked around for something to oblige them. A pebble. A stick. But I had no instruments. I offered my attention instead. The static murmured back, then retreated entirely, undisturbed, in absolute hush. 5. Light in silence, I climbed the far ridge with only a faint beam from my torch, shimmering pale in the black. There, set in a circle of stone, someone, or something, had arranged, was a pinpoint of light, a single lantern, burning with no wick. The flame pulsed without scent or heat, breathing in cadence with the ranch's hush. It flickered twice, then brightened, then dimmed, forming a pattern. A heartbeat, then 2, then 3, like a Morse, but not. Not a code, but a signature. Something said, "I am here," through parabolic light. I sat, shoulders rigid, and watched. The flames pulsing eased into a soft glow, as though acknowledging me, but never speaking, only being. And in the light I saw a shape, impossibly blurry, like a shadow made of smoke, that drifted away without sound, dissolving into the night. 6. The listenary rested inside a dilapidated cabin near the center of the property. The single window had broken panes, uneven shards catching my own name, just the imprint of sound, knowing I shouldn't. Silence snapped. A reflection manifested on the glass, not my face, but another's, paler, ageless, eyes too keen, lips unmoving. I stared. But when I blinked, it vanished. The glass was empty, cracked lines, and moonlight returning. My pulse thundered in my ears, yet the silence remained, suffocating and dense. I wanted to run, or speak, or beg, but instead I just listened to the glass. 7. Gravity of presence eat dawn, or something that passed for dawn in that liminal sting of early light. I felt gravity shift beneath me. Not a quake, but subtle. The air thinned. The hum of the earth seemed amplified, as though each grain of sand and each blade of grass weighed a ton. Then things moved in reverse. Dust rose from the ground into inverted tendrils, falling upward. A geyser of fine grit ascending toward the sky. Wind couldn't. Magic? Something more. The reverse flow plateaued, captured by a silent field, and then, with a whoosh nulled of all sound, collapsed back to earth, dust raining down in a fine, silent sigh. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, dawn had filled the horizon, but the ranch was asleep once more, still unchanged, unspoken, unbothered. 8. The returnee left Blind Frog Ranch walking backward, so as not to turn my back on whatever watches there. No words passed between me and the place, no farewells. The stillness wrapped me. The creaks and pops of abandoned machinery offered faint applause. My shadow, cast in the rising sun behind me, leaned back, one last wave before breaking free of that plateau. Only later, far away, would I realize the skin at my fingertips still tingles. Time stutters now in ordinary rooms. A wind stirs cupboards, a beam creaks. I don't always think it's me. Maybe the ranch is still observing, calling back. Epilogue. Silence as medium. Blind Frog Ranch is not a place. It's a lens, through a silent portal of wood and rust and dust, where the intangible isn't chased by words, but observed through stillness. Each encounter cracking the veneer of reality. No speech is needed. Speech would shatter it. Here, the strangest paranormal observations are heard between heartbeats, seen in collapsed dust, felt through the metal of a beam, traced in grain lines on broken glass. If you listen, not with ears, but with presence, you'll come to know. In the hush, you are part of the enigma. A crimson dawn unfolds over the rugged salmon dunes of Utah's Uinta Basin, brushing a surreal bloodlight across the parched terrain of Blind Frog Ranch. Shadows stretch and recoil like living entities, the air thick with anticipation. The world breathes, quiet yet expecting on. The glowing cavern water behind a veil of collapsing shale, a flooded abyss yawns open. Twin rivers churning beneath ancient stone, yet one strand glows with an unholy blue, pulsing like a living heart. It shimmers and hums, electric and unsettling. Thin instruments, delicate and trembling, dip into its surface. Sparks ignite, devices fail. The water recoils, as if alive. A hush settles over the crew, fingers brushing damp walls, hearts racing. It feels less like discovery and more like intrusion into something watching, ancient and resentful. Vocal 2. The cemented metallic box deep inside a waterlogged tunnel. Something unnatural emerges. A cement-encased metal box, jagged, alien in its stillness. Hands brush it, then nausea migraines. Geiger counters whirl erratically, spiking with radiation only around the box. Stored away, but never explained. It settles like a forbidden secret. What lies within its silent containment? What force repels inquiry? Vocal 3. The invisible push crawling into a collapsed cavity, the air turns viscous. A crewman feels his chest jerk back, an invisible hand pressing him violently, yet no mass appears. No heat signature. EMF detectors spike. A thunderous bang echoes into sustained silence. The team retreats, crawling back out of the throat of the earth, fear trailing behind like a scent too strong to ignore. Vocal 4. Frog skeleton chamby off the beaten path lies a grim shrine. Frog skeletons arranged in perfect geometry, embedded in walls that should be barren. No water, no explanation, just rows of fragile bones in ritualistic stillness. A chamber of silence, offered by an intelligence unknown, halting breath and shaking the foundation of belief.